Movie producer Devon Franklin has worked on some of the industry's most successful and inspirational projects, including the blockbuster remake of the classic tale, Annie. He's also the author of the best-selling book, Produced by Faith. Devon's own life reads like a Hollywood script. His story began with a tragic loss when he was only 9 years old.
I read an article that you did in Guidepost about your father dying. Tell me about the impact that had on you as a child.
Yeah, it was devastating. As a 9-year-old child, I'm the middle child of 3 boys. My father passed away at the age of 36 from a heart attack. He had been an alcoholic and had done a lot of damage to his heart just through smoking and drinking and just kind of, living a, really difficult life. And it was hard, at 9 years old to lose, your parent. And, through most of my upbringing, he was kind of in and out. He started drinking as a way to kind of keep up on the job and really started drinking socially. And didn't realize that through drinking, it was going to ignite in him a disease. His father, my grandfather had struggled with it as well. Some of his brothers had dealt with it. So I don't think he realized the magnitude of what that drinking socially was ultimately going to do to his life.
After his father passed away, Devon says he was angry. However, he found positive outlets to channel his frustration.
My uncle, who is also my pastor, from Oakland, California, he started a ministry the same year that my father had passed away in East Oakland called Wings of Love Maranatha Ministries. And being involved in that church at a young age really helped me. I think it really helped save me because I had a positive outlet to deal with all of the emotions. Also, movies and entertainment. Really helped me because I could watch stories like Rocky or, Back to the Future or, different things like A Different World on TV. And I could see images that would really help me say, hey, well, if they can make it, I can make it too. And also, being involved in school. I was involved in student government. So these things really helped save my life, along with God's intervention through all of these ways because, losing a parent at that age is devastating.
And one thing I read that you said you were very driven, but your drive was based in fear for a long time, fear that you would end up the same way. How did you go from being driven from fear to being driven by faith?
As you grow up, you're trying to just find stability. And so when you lose a parent, that stability, to a degree is taken from you. So there is a great deal of fear. Am I going to be okay? And then as I got older and began to mature, when I began to realize, especially as I got more into the Word, that it's really about faith, and having and believing God, and that even through tragedy, the Bible says that all things work together for the good of those that love Him and are called according to His purpose. And so the more I began to understand, what God's requirement of me was and His plan for my life, I began to understand about faith. Oh, okay. So if I believe God at His Word, and I walk in faith, amazing things not only will happen, they can happen, and they do happen. So I want the very best of what God has to offer and what His original intention for my life. That is the thing that I want. So I began to choose that out of a place of power and a place of confidence in Him. And the more that I choose that, and as I got older, saying, I'm not going to not drink because I'm afraid I'm becoming an alcoholic. No, I'm not drinking because that's not what I want. I don't want that. It's not, at the end of my life, I'm not going to be worried about what drinks I didn't have, right?
Yeah.
But heaven forbid I did take a drink and I missed something that God may have had for me. I don't want that. So I'm choosing out of a place of power, out of confidence, of faith, trusting and believing in God's plan for my life, knowing that in choosing that, I can never fail because in Him, I will achieve and do everything He called for me to do.
I heard you speak at a Christian conference, media conference, a few months ago.
Yeah.
And you were talking about how you left, was it Sony Pictures or Columbia?
Yes, Sony Pictures, the umbrella for Columbia Pictures.
Left Sony Pictures to start your own production company. And I was thinking, Lord, that is some serious faith right there to leave. I mean, you didn't leave Walmart, you left Sony Pictures. Yeah. That is some serious faith to step out and say, I'm going to start my own thing. What was your thought process in that?
My thought process was, it's time to get out of the boat. My original goal as a kid was to produce movies. And certainly as a studio executive, you help produce movies. But you're still working for a company. And so I really felt like it was time for, God was saying, now's the time, Devon, to go out and set up your own, company, and I'm with you. And so, part of that process was to say, okay, God, are you really with me? Because this is a really nice boat, right? Columbia Pictures, Sony Pictures, this is a great boat. And following the success of Heaven is for Real, which is a movie that I was intimately involved with, I went into the chairman's office about 2 days later, sat down with her, and just told her, I love being here, but now's the time for me to start my own thing, and I want you guys to help set me up. And, faith without works is dead, right? The Bible says you have not because you ask not, right? Life and death, power of the tongue, right? So the worst she could say is no. But if she says yes, then, everything changes.
Sony agreed to Devon's terms, and he went from being senior vice president of production to owner of Franklin Entertainment.
What is the goal of Franklin Entertainment?
Frank Capra, who, is a Hollywood legend, has a quote where he says, audiences are looking for moral and spiritual reassurance. And, when movies can provide that, then they will be successful. But when they can't, in essence, what he is saying is that those movies won't really serve a purpose. And so I really believe in that quote. I do believe that content that can provide reassurance and can also be great entertainment experiences. It's really about how we can, use this opportunity in entertainment to really bring change to the world. I believe it's an powerful medium. I believe it's an important medium. And I believe that, audiences can still come to the theater, eat their popcorn, have their soda, and still have a movie that's gonna, make them laugh and cry and make them feel better about life and also about God's plan for their life.